Alright, so I wanted to make this video today because people often ask me, why do bikes cost so much? Why does your bike cost so much? This bicycle right here in front of you, which is my personal bike, costs $8,500 new from the factory in 2016 when I bought it. I am the original owner. It's only been mine. I bought it because I was racing. One of the questions you want to ask yourself is, what are you going to be using your bike for? Are you going to be using it for flat trails like gravel and rail trails, or are you going to be using it for more mountain biking, which is climbing up the side of the mountain and going back down the mountain? Or are you going to be more going down the mountain, but you're sometimes going to be climbing the mountain? Or are you just going to be going down the mountain because you have someone that's always there to give you a ride to the top? Well, first let's explain why bikes are at a certain price point. So you go to Walmart, you see a bike there for $200. I'm going to tell you what you don't get with that bike. What you don't get with that bike: seal bearings. In here are seal bearings. Keeps out the water, moisture, dirt, any crap you're riding through. You're not getting seal bearings on your wheels. You're not getting seal bearings on your bottom bracket. You're not getting bearings for your suspension pivots, which allows your suspension to move very smoothly and lets it sense everything that's on the ground. You're not going to get that with a cheap Walmart bike. Another thing you're going to get with this with a higher end bike is you're going to get a better drivetrain. Usually they're going to have Shimano on there because it's cheaper. This is a SRAM XX1 Eagle because this bike costs $8,500. So 11 speed was top of the line back then. So SRAM XX1 Eagle 11 speed was the way to go. And they were coming out with 12 speed at the time, but it wasn't quite there yet. So all bikes came with this. And the reason why XX1 Eagle is expensive is because it's lightweight, usually made of carbon fiber components. It's durable, and literally this has been on there for about 1,000 miles, and you can see little to no wear on pretty much any of my gears. Okay. Another thing you're going to get with a higher end bicycle is air-filled suspension. Air-filled suspension is amazing. So both my front shock and my rear shock are both air-filled, which means you can open up a valve on the bottom of this shock and you can adjust the air pressure based on your weight. And that comes in handy if you're going to be carrying water with you, or if you're just a heavier guy or you're a lighter guy. You need adjustability in your suspension because you don't want to be going down the trail with a wide open suspension. The spring also doesn't do any dampening. So you hit a hard bump with a spring, you're using up all your suspension travel hitting that, and it's going to rebound whenever it feels like. On this thing, it has dampeners inside the shock. You can adjust those dampeners with these little adjustment cap here. You can make it faster or slower, the rebound dampening, how fast you want that shock to come back out. Now, usually shocks are dialed in to be too fast, especially spring shocks. Usually they're too fast to rebound, and that usually ends up kicking you over the bars because you have that spring shooting the back tire back down to the ground, and you're going to end up going over the bars. So, now, this is specific to this bike, this rear suspension, so I can't really touch on this because this is a dual chamber with high and low travel shock on it. So you have the ability to do 130 millimeter or 120 millimeter. No, it's 85 millimeters or 140 millimeters on the rear shock, and that can be done with just a flip of the switch up here. That's why it's called the Cannondale trigger. All right. So, but usually on the back you're gonna have a Fox suspension, which you can see that's Fox Dyad RT2. Most people don't know this, but the Cannondale lefties are actually made by Fox. And what you're going to get on higher end shocks is there's going to be a coating on there. You see how it's not completely reflective? You can see some sort of coating on there protecting it. And that prevents it from, that protects it from scratches and pitting and rust. And another thing you're getting with this over spring shocks is inside there you have a seal. That seals off the shock. You're not getting any dirt or any, you're getting very minimal dirt past there into the shock oils and grease and whatever. So you're not going to get water and stuff in there like you will on a spring shock, which is why you'll see on Walmart bikes, there's a hole drilled in the bottom of shocks. is to let the water out, just to let you know. Okay. Another thing you're gonna get on a higher end bike is you will get disc brakes. If it's a mountain bike, you will get disc brakes, because no one in their right mind will ride a mountain bike on a mountain bike trail without disc brakes. And the reason for that is because rim brakes, which are the brakes that go on your rim, when they get wet, they will not stop you. And being a mountain biker, you hit mud and go through puddles and all that. You go downhill, and what happens is with those rim brakes, they heat up your rim so much that the brakes do not work. They fail. They smoke. They don't even smoke. They just stop working because the rim gets so hot. They just don't work. So you're gonna have to put your feet down and pray that it stops, or you hit something when you're not going too fast. So going down a hill in the city or something, better watch out. Another thing you're gonna get on the real high-end bikes, this isn't on all of them, but on the real high-end bikes, you're gonna get a dropper post standard. And what a dropper post does is allows you to adjust your seat from here down to here at a push of this button. So instead of having to reach down, undo a quick release here, push your seat down, close it again, and then go on your way, and then stop down the bottom of the hill, undo it, pull the seat up, clip it back. It's just a push of a button. So it's more of a comfort, convenience type deal. Another thing you're going to get on a high-end bike is you're going to get carbon fiber parts. Carbon fiber parts. This is a carbon fiber frame, carbon fiber rims. You got to have a carbon fiber crank if you have XX1 Eagle. So what a carbon fiber frame does over aluminum frame is it increases how rigid it is. Now, having rigidity helps with efficiency. It puts more power from your pedals to your wheel, or to your tire, which puts more power to the ground. So, your frame is stiff. You're not going to get any flex in here other than suspension flex, which the way this one's designed, when you flip that switch, it lowers the travel suspension, so you're not losing as much there as you would carbon fiber crank. So when you push down the pedals, you're not, this crank itself is not flexing at all. It's going straight into the chain, or straight into your chain ring. It goes straight into your chain. This chain is a heavy duty chain. It's not going to sit there and stretch like a steel chain would. So it's getting more power to your cassette, and puts more power through the spokes. Carbon fiber rim. Carbon fiber rim doesn't flex. Okay. Aluminum rims, you hit a rock wrong, you have a bent rim, you can't ride home. These, you can hit a rock, keep on going, because they ain't gonna bend. Okay. And having that stiff of a rim puts more power to your tires. Okay. Another thing you're gonna get with a decent mountain bike these days is tubeless ready rims. And you can see on here, they're tubeless ready. These are actually tubeless rims. They've already been made tubeless since 2016. And the good thing about being tubeless is you don't get pinch flats. You hit a nail, it doesn't go flat. Okay, you can still keep on riding. You usually don't even know you have a flat. You usually don't even know you punctured your tire. And it depends on the sealant that you use inside your tires. I use Stan's No Tubes Racing Formula. That thing clogs everything up. It'll block anything. I even cut my tire with a knife, and it had sealed it before it went flat. So, just a word of advice, tubeless is the way to go. The only reason you would have to carry a tube on you is if you ran too low of tire pressure, like say you ran 4 psi and you had taken a turn too hard. What happens is there's a bead under here, and that pops off the rim and lets all your air out. You would just need a tube to get on there, or a CO2 cartridge to reseat the bead. So, really easy to do on that. Another thing you're going to get on more expensive brake systems is you're going to get hydraulic brakes. Hydraulic brakes helps in modulation. They don't stick. They're very smooth. They're not going to be like, it's not going to be like, really sticky, like a cable-driven disc brake would be. So, but now you don't need the full suspension. You can get away with a hardtail if you're a new person. Hardtails you could probably get for around $1,000. For main thing to look for in a hardtail is the frame. You can upgrade everything else later if you have the right frame. Most people don't upgrade later because you usually get a better deal buying all the components already on the bike. So if you want to upgrade soon, save up a little bit more, buy it with all the components you want on it, and it'll be worth it. Okay. You want to go full suspension, you're probably looking at around $3,000 starting out for a decent bike. And the reason why is because it comes with components that are higher end. Mostly the drivetrain is going to be higher end. You're going to have, these tires alone are $60 a piece, Schwalbe Knobby Nicks. They're about $60 a piece. These handlebars are probably about $100 alone, just the handlebars alone. You know, that crank down there is about $450 by itself. So it adds up really quick when you look at the price of bikes. If you want to go into an all-mountain bike like this, you're probably going to be looking at spending around $5,000, okay? Now, it starts to get a little bit more than that when you get to enduro bikes, but also a little bit less. So, for enduro bikes, it kind of goes the opposite way. The older they are, the more value they lose, okay? So, but they don't lose value as quickly as a downhill bike. I'll explain that next. So the benefits of an enduro bike is you get downhill capabilities with the capability to be able to climb up the hill. So you'll have the right gearing to actually be able to climb up the hill. You'll struggle, but you can do it. Okay, downhill bikes, they lose their value literally the next year. They can be 50% off. They can be a leftover model, brand new, 50% off at a bicycle dealership. So like Trek Sessions, they could be $5,000 a year before, and they could be $3,000 just being a leftover a couple months later. So downhill bikes, they usually come with 180 plus millimeters of suspension, and you really don't need a downhill mountain bike unless you're going to be putting out the money to go to the downhill parks or you have a driver to take you to the top of the hill to ride down the hill. And I would only say double black diamond or double black diamond or greater for downhill bikes. This bike can do black diamond and double black diamond, and I only have 150 in the front, 140 in the rear. Just saying, I never bottomed it out. As long as you work the bike right, you can do it. But if you want to compare this to a Walmart bike, I just want to laugh at you if you get a Walmart bike, because Walmart bikes are a hazard. First off, they are not assembled correctly. They over torque bolts, they under torque bolts. So you could be riding down the trail and all of a sudden your wheel falls off, because guess what? Their wheels are not held on by Allen key stuff or through axles. Their wheels are held on by two little dinky nuts that probably weren't even screwed in right. And that's why if you go to Walmart, I guarantee you walk down the bicycle aisle, you will see a fork that says front and it's facing rear. I guarantee you will walk into Walmart and see that. So these guys do not know what they're doing. Well, that kind of sums up this video, what your price ranges are. If you're looking to spend under $1,000 on a bicycle, you can probably do it, but you're going to sacrifice on components. You're not going to have any capability to do anything above a green circle unless you have some skills. And another thing you get with this type of drivetrain is it has a built-in clutch system, so your chain doesn't fall off when you're going over bumps. Lower end drivetrains, chain will fall off your 1x system. If they have a 2 or 3x system, it most likely will not fall off unless it's on the lowest chain ring, where it has the least amount of tension on the system. And that kind of concludes my video.